So, unlock the future of business ecosystems design is a topic today. So, first of all, we have to speak a little bit about the journey because there's a huge difference, what's coming along. Because if you start today, and you're engaging with the design thinking mindset, you're looking into the problem to solve, something is happening. But if you wait for a long time, and I have a lot of companies in my portfolio, they're always saying, Michael, we're not ready for you, we do it next year. And I can tell you from my experience working with many, many companies, the most important part is always to start right now, to have the appropriate mindset, to have the appropriate skills and capabilities, and then basically engaging with the process and finding out while you're doing things, what is kind of really the problem to solve and really like to have. So this is something just for my personal reflection. I think it's really, really important that we're not waiting too long and we really start doing the process right now and doing something and not just waiting. That's quite important. So, but when we go here, I think it's quite important to say something about design thinking in general. And this mindset is quite old. So it was established over 55 years ago at Stanford University. And since then, the mindset has not changed at all. We're still speaking about the same behavior we put into the game. We speak still about the same kind of processes, but what has changed are actually the problems to solve. So like 50 years ago, there were a lot of mechanical problems and also actually established at the engineering school at Stanford. And later on over time, of course, the design thinking mindset stays the same, but the problems to solve are much complex today. And of course, this is relating to new technologies, this is related to creating totally new ecosystems and many other things. So we can really apply this mindset, even it's quite old, to the big challenges we have nowadays. So for me personally, my experience is not 55 years, because otherwise I would be over 80 years old probably, and this is not happening. So for me, it's a journey for the last 20 years. So 20 years ago, I learned from Lewrick at Stanford University about design thinking. And he was my mentor over a long period of time, helping me and coaching me over the entire process of being really an expert in the field. And he was also co-authoring a lot of my books. And out of this relationship, of course, we established kind of a nice way of also reframing and putting the design thinking mindset in something you can apply nowadays for ecosystem design, you can apply it nowadays for measuring innovation and for many other things. So this is a little bit my story between. There are like 5 books around design thinking. I can't recommend one. You have to have all. It's very simple. And all of them are a little bit different, right? There's kind of the first one was the design thinking playbook. This has become a standard in like 25 languages in every kind of design thinking innovation school. You probably learn from the design thinking playbook. It's really handy to have the design thinking toolbox because there's 50 tools to use. And then, of course, I like 2 later publications. The red one about metrics, really interesting. This was just released 1.5 years ago. And today we're speaking a little bit more about the yellow one called Design Thinking for Business Growth, but it's really focusing on how to create business ecosystems. And then, of course, for your personal kind of journey in growth, you can use the Design Thinking Life Playbook. This gives you kind of a guide, for your personal life planning. And this also helps if you're a starter to the design thinking mindset to get acquainted, with the mentality, with the behavior and everything around. And a lot of people really go first designing their own life, and later on they transform the knowledge into teams and organization. Debbie was actually saying, well, there's something new, and there is something new. This was released 2 days ago. And it's a brand new book, a brand new series of books called the Exponential Change book series. And the first one is now AI and Innovation. And so it's like 250 pages, really focusing on how Gen AI can help you over the entire design thinking process, but also into your innovation journey, and looks into the AI strategies, looks into like the frameworks to use, it looks into kind of technology shifts, but we're also looking what's coming next. There's a lot of things about the future, what is kind of the level after Gen AI, what's going to happen if you have general artificial intelligence, what is happening if you go into singularity. So we not only take a stack and our reflection on our AI projects of the last 2 years, but we're also looking into the future. So if you are interested in the AI topic, and this is something you like to get kind of a nice framework to put your use cases together and to apply it into the innovation space, this is probably a nice have to as well. Good. A lot of marketing for books, so we go to the next chapter. First of all, I mentioned already that the design thinking mindset stays the same, but the challenges are moving, right? And on the left side, as I mentioned before, this is really heavily applied to product design, service design, and then over the last 20 years, with the rise of the internet, with the platform economy, we use design thinking of creating new applications, to creating new customer journeys on the internet. And as you see already on the right, nowadays we're using it for generating AI use cases and also displayed a little bit by these connecting dots to creating entire business ecosystems. So you see a little bit kind of how the mindset is staying, but is shifting always with the bigger challenges to solve. And I know there are much bigger things than just like the technology one ecosystems to solve, but you see design thinking is really something once you understand, once you have applied it for a certain topic, you can also transfer the knowledge into something much bigger. So this is basically what we speak today about, the ecosystem part, more like the future-oriented way of using design thinking, but also a little bit about the basics, because I think you have to understand what is design thinking all about, because otherwise it's really hard to understand how it's shifting into the new world of ecosystems design. So today I have like 4 lenses prepared, for this meeting. I think we only covered 20 minutes, like maybe 2 of them. So let's see how far we go. But there's, of course, much more to say about design thinking and what is happening. So first of all, the overall picture about what we speak. On the left side, we're always starting with design thinking. And that's the reason, because we always to understand what are the customer needs, what is the problem to solve. And usually afterwards, you apply something you might know as well as the lean startup phase. You're creating your first MVP. But usually, if you like to do it like in the right way, first of all, it's all about the desirability. It's all about the user, the customer, understanding the problem first. And if you have been doing your prototypes, you know your requirements, then you're able to build the MVP. And the MVP usually is really focusing on creating the value proposition. It's not about features, it's not about benefits, about the full value proposition of the product or service. And finally, what we do as well, we're looking what is the willingness to pay from the customer for the product or service. And then the interesting phase is coming afterwards, is the totally design of the business ecosystem. And this is something we have not seen 20, 30, 50 years ago. There was a lot of talks like 30 years ago about ecosystem design, business ecosystems, but we were not ready. And the reason why we were not ready, that the technology enablers were not in this kind of maturity we have some right now. There were no APIs, there were no cloud computing, there were no artificial intelligence, there was nothing around the technology. And that's the reason why we probably have not seen 20, 30 years ago something in business ecosystems, because the concept was quite clear, but the technology to implement and to make it happen, to be data-driven, was not quite there. This is the reason a little bit why we have been seeing now the big shift into ecosystems design over the last 5, maybe for some companies already 10 years ago, but we really have to say it's like the last 5 years picking up and people speaking about ecosystem design. And of course, once you have ecosystem established, you always configure in a way that you later on scale. And scale really comes to reach more people, and depends a little bit, is it a service, a product, or is it just like something you like to offer to a broader variety of customers? Because I know there's also today a lot of companies from the public sector. It's really kind of the first steps that you have something ready, you can easily scale later on to a massive amount of people. And then, of course, ecosystem design really helps to have like a shorter cycle of bringing a product or service into the market.